was unlocking a duty-free access to almost all major economies of the world. To say that, I mean, if India was unlocking its free trade access to 450 million wealthy consumers while slashing tariffs on premium European cars, including supercars and aircrafts. Uh, well, after 20 years of deep deliberations and consultations, finally, India and the European Union, the world's largest economies, the world's largest economic blocs, they have signed a deal, and that is the .com of the day. That is what is doing rounds all across. This deal, after having been negotiated for more than 20 long years, more than 2 decades. So this deal finally has been signed, and the leaders are calling it as the mother of all trade deals, a pact which is set to reshape the global trade and India's place in the world economy. So let's go to understanding why this deal, the Indo-European Union trade agreement, why it is historically huge. So these two big economic giants, India with 1.4 billion people and the fifth largest booming manufacturing and services market of the world, along with European Union, the 27 nations collectively making up to 20 trillion in economy. These all, and that to deep consumer market of European Union, they combine together in this, what is referred to as the mother of all deals. This covers a market of over 2 billion people, roughly 25% of the global GDP. That is huge, and that makes it one of the most significant deals in the modern trade history. So the long twisting negotiations led to all of this. The trade negotiations started in 2007. They were stalled in 2013, relaunched in 2022, and finally are being concluded in 2026. This is not just a trade deal, mind you, it is culmination of nearly 2 decades of diplomatic strategy at work and economic bargaining. So you must have heard Ursula talking about it. She also represented the European Union at our Republic Day parade. You saw the president of the European Council acknowledging and showing his passport out loud that he is of Indian origins. Finally, a big news for all of us, important for us from the UPSC perspective as well. Now, what the deal actually does, it is a massive tariff reduction. European Union will eliminate tariffs on almost 96% of tariff lines for Indian exports in textiles, leather, gems, jewelry, marine products, chemicals, and much more. India will reduce tariffs on 92% of European imports, which consist of automotive parts, machines, pharmaceuticals, aircraft, equipment, and so on. So the fact of the matter that will astonish you is that European Union tariffs on high-end wine once exceeded 150% under the FTA, that they fall dramatically, like wine to 20 to 30% now. So the sector winners in this are the exports are likely to boom in the sectors of textile and gems and jewelry for India, leather and footwear, marine products, chemicals, and pharmaceuticals. Imports getting cheaper for India would be cars. Tariffs have been slashed from 110% to 10% over time. This will be done gradually so as to as you would recall Ursula herself saying out loud that this is a win-win deal for both the nations. Now, in that sense, these because India had augmented all the Tata Motors and Hyundai's and other car manufacturing companies in India had actually launched they had invested huge in electronic cars, e-vehicles. That would really crush these if it was done in one go. So the provisions have been made that these would be slashed from 110%, 110% to 10% eventually, so as to give support to the indigenous manufacturing units. Aircraft and aerospace parts virtually go to tariff-free zone. Now, optical, medical, and surgical equipments would be much, much cheaper for India. Luxury goods like wine and spirits and olive oil would be cheaper in India. Sensitive sectors like dairy, cereals, and some other agri products are protected so as to safeguard the domestic interests under this deal. Now, the strategic, economic, and governance impact that this deal is going to have, let's delve a little bit into that. So, the economic integration and supply chain, which is fostered through this agreement, would actually deepen India's integration into the global value chains, allowing Indian firms to access high quality European inputs in the sense that, but that would also be a challenge for India now because these European markets are very sophisticated markets. So the Indian Indian export now will have to be not only quantitatively better, but qualitatively better also. So this FTA enables India to pivot into European markets while building strategic resilience. Boost is going to be seen to exports and jobs. So it is with preferential access and reduced duties, Indian export sector, especially labor-intensive sectors, are expected to see job creations in one way or the other. Foreign exchange gains are going to be seen, and the scaling of the MSME, which is the micro, small, and medium enterprise, they are going to be seen. Now, foreign investment and standards is something that is important to understand. This agreement also facilitates easier investment flows to and forth from India and European Union. Regulatory cooperation is something that is fostered. It facilitates that. Also, we'll have enhanced customs procedures. So customs procedures that we already have, they will be augmented in a better way. This agreement also facilitates that. There's possible future linkage in services, investment, and mobility on the cards. The public policy challenges and the balancing acts associated with this free trade agreement are that the protection of farmers and the sensitive sectors. Now, farming is something India is heavily dependent on agriculture as one of the economies in the world, which is and agriculture has time and again proved to be India's cushion. We saw that happening in the COVID lockdowns. So protecting farmers and sensitive sectors would be a challenge, public policy challenge to consider. India has deliberately kept more sensitive agricultural sectors out of the trade liberalization, actually to protect food security and rural livelihood, a key domestic policy priority. Confidence building measures and climatic standards. The European Union's carbon border adjustment mechanisms, the CBAMs, they pose new compliance and tariff pressures on carbon-intensive Indian exports. And negotiations may include mechanisms to manage this transition. So these CBAMs are these mechanisms put into place by the European Union, wherein they impose tariffs on the basis of the carbon that was emitted into the atmosphere after having made these products back home. Now, another important policy, public policy challenge would be in terms of non-tariff barriers. So harmonizing standards, quality certification, regulatory frameworks remain a governance challenge requiring public administration coordination as a whole. Important aspect with respect to, one cannot even discuss this without discussing the geopolitical and the global order. So the strategic realignment which is happening because of this free trade agreement is that Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the European Union leaders have called this back a boost to the global economic stability amid geopolitical turmoils. This agreement coming at a time when already we are at the brink of something extraordinary, when the United States of America is threatening and slashing and slashing tariffs onto India. So we are living in those times. This agreement comes in that time. Again, at a time when global supply chains is already a matter of concern. To add to the worry, it is the same time when the world is at the brink of uncertainties from the Ukraine-Russia war and the warming up of the Taiwan belt. Strategically, this move, it's a move that can strengthen India's strategic autonomy while balancing relations with the United States, Russia, and China. Um, with rising protectionism that is happening across the world, we saw protectionism rising very exponentially, much so after the COVID happened. So, with this rising of protectionism and these tariff wars, this free trade agreement, it signals a new model of cooperation between the global south and the Western economies. India has been championing itself as the leader of the global south. Potentially, this would help us influencing norms around sustainable trade, climate partnerships, and technology transfers. What this free trade agreement means for India's future. So the key takeaways in the domain of economics are that India is expected doubling. We expect this free trade agreement actually expects doubling of the bilateral trade by 2032, new employment opportunities and export incomes. That is what is promised economically under this agreement. Broader access for services, mobility, and investment. From the governance and policy lessons, what is expected is importance in long-term negotiating strategy, because this comes after 2 decades of negotiations, as we discussed. Balancing economic liberalization with social protection. Apart from that, enhancing regulatory capacities to implement global standards, because we talked about the sophisticated European market that we are to cater to now. I think in just that is what is making the news right now, and this is pretty important from not only from your curriculum point of view, but also in general. After decades, this deal is finally signed. So I hope this added value to your already ongoing preparations. So I think that's it from me for now. See you on. Bye-bye.